Hey guys, today we're looking at the sdkfz 124 or Wespe, or possibly Vespa. It's definitely not Wespe or Wespe, I know that much anyway. This particular one is by Revell. It's in 176. This is formerly a Matchbox release, but it has been released by Revell, I think originally in 2004. And you can see the packaging there, obviously states Revell. Artwork is nice enough, very straightforward. It shows it in Africa core colours by the look of things. Two crew members sticking out of it. They're not the crew members you get with the actual piece itself, but that doesn't really matter too much. Box itself, as I say, fairly run-of-the-mill, basic kind of scenario. Gives the paint information, the usual warnings, and that kind of stuff. Nothing particularly spectacular, as you can see. A couple of other pieces that are available in the range, skill levels, that type of thing. As usual with these kind of boxes, they're side openers, not top openers. I do prefer the top opening box format. Just makes it handy when you're actually constructing the kit or painting it, that you have a little means of containing any loose bits and pieces, such as, you know, small wheels or whatever, your paintbrush or whatever it is you're doing. Just find it handy, but most manufacturers side openers. I just prefer top openers if at all possible. So anyway, the Wespe itself was kind of created to meet the need of for the artillery to follow up kind of tank strikes or infantry strikes or movements or whatever quickly, and to be able to provide fire support for infantry and other mobile panzer grenadiers or armoured formations. And basically it was manufactured by FAMO in Warsaw. There's only about 700 of these things built. They also did an ammunition schlepper version, which was basically an unarmed version, which carried the shells to feed the gun of the armed version. I think 40 shells could be carried in the actual unit itself, so it's handy enough if you were in a particularly hot engagement to be able to have a ready supply of ammunition being brought up to you in an equally mobile format as your own. So that's basically the unit itself as regards the historical aspect of it. So let's have a look at the instructions, shall we? Okay. So here's the instructions. Nice, clear Revell instructions. Gives the paint information, all that type of thing as usual. Nice picture of the sprue. I do like it when companies do a little picture of the sprue, just in case you're missing anything before you go picking and poking at it and trying to assemble things. Just if you had to return anything, if you noticed something was missing or an error. So you can see there, it's a former Matchbox kit, so it's not going to be particularly complex. As you can see, fairly, as I always say, straightforward. Nothing particularly dramatic. Diorama provided is of a desert scene there, of course, as you can see with the palm trees. It does give two colour variations there. One for 21st Panzer Division Africa Corps, and the other one is for what's that 17th Panzer Division in the this is Eastern Corps, so I presume Eastern Front. That's that. Fairly simple. Nice enough depictions there as well. It gives you a nice indication as to where the various decals go and all that. So that's that. Let's have a look at the sprue. Okay, here we go. First sprue anyway. I'll just move the box out of the way momentarily. First sprue we're looking at here. This has the diorama. Nice diorama piece actually. Nice detail. Sort of cracked desert floor type of a scenario. You have your pantry section there. Down here you have your wheels and a little bit of the base for the gun. You can see this is the kind of ammunition stowage area here, I believe. Looks like an MG34. And you have a crew member here who has a spanner there. He's obviously repairing the unit. And various wheels and that here. Here we have the officer commander. If you look quite closely at him, you'll see that he is basically an adaptation or a variant of one of the pieces found in the Matchbox German infantry in 176 scale. Only difference being that his left leg is raised, presumably to slot in here. I think this is roughly the slot where his foot should go. So he's kind of looking out over a desert vista or whatever it is, and probably hoping that the poor corporal or whatever it is down there is getting the vehicle repaired hurriedly. So that's the first sprue. Second sprue there, just turn her over. Has most of the components of the actual vehicle itself. You have the hull superstructure, it's kind of casement area here, which would have provided limited cover for the crew inside, and there was no overhead. It was an open top piece, There's your 105mm howitzer, and these are the sides there where the various running gear goes for the tracks and that. Here is your the trunk of your palm tree. So that's it. Again, as I say, a very easy to put together kit. Nothing too dramatic in it. The tracks, just to get the tracks out, are a vinyl configuration in sort of a silver grey. These are holding up quite well, even though I bought them the year after this came out, so it would be 2004, 2005. Actually bought them in a model and hobby shop in Portlaoise on the way to Dublin one day. Popped in and discovered a little model and hobby shop, and found this little thing, and off I went. I have yet to put it together. So many years later, it's now January 2018, and as I say, this was purchased in 2004, 2005. So as I say, I have a stash in the attic of these things that I have to get around to. There are the decals. As you can see there, they're in fine fettle still. The various markings and all that. Yep, sdkfz 124 Wespe. Now, I do have one of these already manufactured. This particular one came in a Matchbox box way back in the day. This was one of the very first models I made when I returned to model making as an adult. When I say as an adult, I was in my probably early 20s thereabouts. This particular one is done in a kind of a grey there. You have a rather brutal attempt at dry brushing with a little bit of white. Just did it in a basic field grey sort of a format. Just don't drop it. You can see no frills there, to be honest with you. This particular kit is going to be repainted. I'm going to actually take little bits apart and fix things up a little bit on it because it is in fairly bad nick. Now, I have used this extensively in wargaming, as I've mentioned before in previous videos. Rapid fire is what I do, and I have used this particular piece on many occasions. It's a little bit dusty and a bit messed up there, but one major mistake that I made with it was, if you notice there, those of you who are keen-eyed will notice that I somehow managed to put the drive wheels at the rear of the vehicle, despite the instructions. So my mission is to take off these tracks, which are actually glued on. I have some bits and pieces in the spare box which might assist me in that, and to reposition these two wheels. The tracks themselves are split there and kind of going there as well, so I think they might lift off easily enough, because if I remember correctly, back when I started remodeling, when I started wargaming and stuff back in the mid 90s thereabouts, I don't think I used super glue. I think I stuck with the home rolled cellulose cement kind of a scenario. So I'm hoping that this will be salvageable, because it looks a little bit tatty, to say the least, now these days. So I'm hoping to do a little bit of a better job on it this time around, because I do like the Wespe. I'm not quite sure why. I just think it's a lovely little vehicle. It's based on the Panzer II chassis, of course, which was becoming increasingly obsolete as the war went on, and was used for various purposes, training tanks and various bits and pieces, and this being one of the formats that the chassis was used for. So I'm hoping I'll be able to salvage this little guy and add his compatriot there to him to make a little artillery company for rapid fire. And so hopefully maybe in one of the games you might see this refurbished and in service again with his yet to be assembled partner in crime there. So that basically is the quick little review on Revell's sdkfz 124 Wespe. I'd say if you can still get them, and I think you should, because they're a nice little model, easy to put together from what I recollect. You can see the instructions there and the sprues, nothing particularly outlandish, and they're a nice little kit, really, is what it boils down to. They are available on eBay. I checked just before making this video. They retail anything from around about €10, which is what, about £7 sterling, or about maybe give or take $11, something like that, plus postage. But as I say, I have my stash in the attic, which is considerable at the moment, so I'm kind of whittling my way through those. So that's what's providing us with the fodder for our reviews. But anyway, that's it, guys. I leave you with that. The sdkfz 124 Wespe by Revell, formerly a Matchbox kit. Matchbox, of course, being my favourite manufacturer, which is why I kind of got into doing these videos in the first place anyway, to show those pieces off, particularly the figures. But anyway, there you go, guys. I'll leave you with it. Revell's Wespe 124 SDKFZ, over and out. Take care.